Hello, welcome to yet another episode of AWS Shibbles. Now, I'll start off with a question. How many of you have taken a photo? Whiteboard? Sorry. All right. Sorry about that. So, how many of you have taken a photo of a whiteboard after a design session, right? It might sound very familiar. You might use it to share it on a Slack or put it in some wiki or documentation page. And I am still guilty because I have some of those pictures from customer meetings that have become full-blown architectures and implementations. But I can tell you this, that, I've put in a lot of time to build these architecture diagrams. So hi, Fatima Kamal, Principal Specialist or Solutions Architect. And in my 5 years helping financial customers, where every decision was important, we have seen this documentation gap cost a lot of time for our teams, especially in regulated environments. So, as a core member of AWS Shebels, I'm passionate about empowering architects with tools to solve these complex problems. So, in the next 1 hour, we are going to build AI agents that transform any architecture diagram into living documentation. So, we'll start off simple, but before that, I have a special guest with me, Sumit. Do you want to introduce yourself to our audience and let them know what they're about to build?
Yeah, sure. Hi, everyone. I'm Sumit Bhati. I'm a senior customer solutions manager here at AWS. I basically work with a high-tech vertical in AWS, supporting those customers in their migration and modernization journey. I'm based out of Carmel, Indiana. So I'm dealing with the Midwest weather for now.
Yes, that
And
too.
and Fatima, you correctly mentioned that how painful it is to handle these architecture diagrams, especially if you're not as technical, right? And if the sketch is not as clear as it should be, right? All the details are not mentioned. So yes, in this session we are going to see all those challenges and see that how we can come up with a solution to help our audience to deal with those challenges.
Thank you. So, I just didn't hear you for a bit there. Did we lose you, Sumit?
I can hear you.
Oh, okay, perfect. So let's get started. Sumit, what are we seeing today?
All right. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to first give you a brief that okay, what are we doing here today, and then I have pre-recorded a demo of that solution, where we will run through the different options. You know how we can build those agents, right? And I'll answer any questions if you guys have any. All right. So let me share my screen. Let me know when you're able to see.
Yes, yes, it's coming through, and we can see your screen.
All right, so let's start. So if you are someone who draws architecture diagram as part of their day-to-day work, and I don't have to tell you like how much time it takes, you face the certain challenges every day.
Yeah.
And so as Fatima mentioned, that converting those whiteboard sketches to the formal diagram takes hours and sometimes days. And then the best practices and the compliance checks keeps on changing, and it's manual and it's incomplete. The other things are the diagrams diff from the actual documentations, actual architectures decisions, right? We have decided something in the meeting, but by the time actually we are building it, we tend to drift away from it. And also that exploring the multiple options requires significant manual effort. What I meant by that you're checking, okay, what is the pros and cons of this specific architecture rather than the different option. So these are the challenges we face. So I would like to hear from the audience that what are the challenges they face or they will resonate with these challenges. So how we can solve this, when this specific problem comes to us. So we see that how the AI agents can help it. So when we started building this solution, we noticed that AI agents can read images, extract components, and generate the formal diagrams. It also suggests that AWS services based on the requirement and the best practices. We can also validate against the well-architected framework and integrate the custom tools. So now I'm going to show you what we can build in with such agents in today's session. So let's see. So what I'm going to actually use to build these agents. So these are the few technologies. Amazon Bedrock. So if you guys haven't heard about Amazon Bedrock, So it is the platform for building generative AI application and agent at production scale. It gives you access to hundreds of foundation models from leading AI companies, which and based on your unique performance and cost needs. Then the Strand agents framework. So it is a model-driven approach to building AI agents and in just few lines of code. Then the model context protocol, MCP, we will refer that a lot in our solution today. So it's an open source standard for connecting AI application to external systems. So think as the universal interface for AI agent system communication. And last but not the least, Kiro CLI. So this is a command line interface. It's a tool that brings agentic AI capabilities and assistance directly into your terminal environment.
So,
Let
Sumit, can we say that we are giving every architect some major superpowers here because we are turning
Yes,
hours of documentation into minutes?
absolutely, absolutely.
Awesome.
All right, so this is a little deep dive into the architecture. So just to give you an idea that how we are dealing it, what we are dealing with. So in my development environment in VS Codes, which is a Visual Studio Codes, I'll have a .Kiro development directory, which contain the configurations. You will learn how to customize Kiro CLI for interactive architecture diagrams. And this gives you the programmatic control over your AI workflows. And then Strand agent, as I mentioned, these are the Python-based Strand agents and which leverage Amazon Bedrock models. And you will also extend these agent functionality with both local and remote MCP servers. So we have a workshop. In order to run this workshop on your own, you need to have a AWS Builder ID, which is free to use and allow access to the certain developer tools and services. So if you have given a AWS certification, you must have that AWS Builder ID. You can check in your AWS certification account. But even if you don't, you can log into this specific link and create a new one. When you create a new builder ID, you will get a certain 8 Kiro credits to run this workshop.
Yeah.
All right. So, and let
And
me
for our
jump to,
audience, sorry, I'm for our audience, I've pasted the workshop link also in our chat, so you can just follow through and build along if you have your own account set up.
all right. Thanks, Fatima. So let me go here and open this. Can you confirm, Fatima, you are
Yes,
able to see?
yes.
All right. All right. So let's bring this to life. So what I'm going to show you in this demo of this workshop, you will see me analyzing the architecture diagrams with AI agents, turning those whiteboard sketch into the formal architecture proposal, and then having an agent review those architecture and catch the real issues in it. Along the way, you will see how MCP servers gives agents superpowers, as you mentioned, Fatima, like searching AWS documentation in real time, and how a few lines of custom codes can turn a general purpose model into a domain expert. So first you need to go to the setup and configuration. And in order to run this workshop in your own account, you go to this tab, scroll down, and this is the workshop zip. You need to download it, unzip it, and open in the VS Code. Everything you need to run this workshop, Python script, agent configuration, sample diagrams, and MCP server definition, everything is included in that. So next, what we need to do, this is a key, log into a Kiro CLI. So what it does that it's authenticate with the Kiro CLI so that you can run the login command. This connects the AWS Builder ID and unlocks Kiro AI applications, capabilities. And the free tiers gives you enough credit to run through everything.
So you're saying that this Kiro CLI is free for this workshop.
Yes,
Our audience
yes,
wants to run that.
yes. All right, so there are different modules. So let me show you the, it's running, right? Yeah. All right, so let's move to the first agent, which is the basic agent. So this is the first module. So I'll demonstrate different approaches as I mentioned earlier. So quick definition about AI agent. AI agent is a software program that integrates with its environments, collects data, and performs self-determined tasks to meet goals. You set the goals and agent independently chooses that. So this is the VS Code. I have already downloaded the workshop zip folder, unzip it, and open in my Visual Code. And as you see that all the modules mentioned here, the basic agent architecture proposal is same as the workshop workshop we have I'm mentioning on the right. All right. So the first task is, so now we talk a lot about architecture diagrams. So there is a various programs used to create architecture diagrams, but a common way to share them is by exporting them into the PNG file, PNG image, just like we see it in the AWS documentation and the blog post. So here is a diagram. So it's a simple serverless architecture with API gateway, Lambda, DynamoDB, and S3, right? So I think we started with the simple diagram. So let's start the terminal setup. So we are going to analyze this diagram in our workshop. So what I'm doing here is that I am setting up the terminal. These are the environments I'm setting. So that will make it easier to navigate and use these tools throughout the workshop.
Yeah. Before we proceed, there's a question from the
Hmm.
audience. PNG
Yeah.
file, no JPEG or JPG?
Uh-huh. Yes.
Okay. So one of the reason why this workshop, I mean, this particular workshop that we are trying to showcase here uses PNG files of architecture diagrams instead of, source files like draw.io, right? That's one of the commonly used ones that we use for architecture diagrams because most of the real world times we get that shared as PNGs, like in docs or blog posts or Slack messages. Then you don't really rarely get that editable source files. So teaching the AI to analyze PNG means it can work with diagrams that already exist in the West, in the Wild West, and not just in ideal format. So that was kind of an answer there.
Yep. Yep. Thanks, Fatima. Yeah, so let's move to the task one. So our first approach is to use the direct Amazon Bedrock API. The script that uses the Amazon Bedrock Converse API, which is a consistent interface that works with all the modules that supports messages. It reads the PNG file, it sends it to the cloud model via Bedrock, and it will create a markdown report. So let me copy this. Sorry. So the easy way to copy these commands you see on the, I hope the demo is running. Yeah. So this click on this right thing, it will copy it and come here and paste it. So I'm running it. Now so it has created the markdown file. So let's go and analyze the diagram. So this is the report converse empty file, which has created with the script. So if you will go here and let me make it a bigger. All right. So as you notice that, the output file has the key components identified already. Amazon API Gateway, AWS Lambda, Amazon S3, and Amazon DynamoDB. It talks about the data flow also, right? How user sends a request through API Gateway, how API Gateway triggers Lambda function read data from DynamoDB for processing, and then Lambda function write results or files to S3 storage. So this architecture again represents the simple, typical serverless pattern. So from that specific image, we are able to create this markdown report. But it lacks the depth when it does not provide any recommendation. It is rigid. So if I have to save this file in a different format or make any changes, I cannot do that, right? Because it's a rigid form. So how we can fix that? By agents, we can fix that. So this is where the task 2 comes in. So in this task 2, we are going to use this image. So this image is the simple MCP, how MCP server works. Again, it's a PNG format. So let me run this Kiro CLI chat. So what it is doing is it's starting a chat session. That this agent has access to the built-in tools like shell, read, and write. So I am asking agent. Let's see.
So
Yeah,
as soon as you're starting this chat, Sumit, for
yeah.
our audience here, can you tell what is the difference between a Bedrock Converse API approach
Let
and a
me.
PHP approach?
Yeah, sorry. Let me pause it for yeah. Yeah, go ahead,
Yeah, so I
Fatima.
was like for our audience, are you able to explain the difference between a Bedrock Converse API approach and an agent-based approach here, as we are coming into task two?
Okay, so that's a good question. So the Converse API approach is based on the traditional script. So
Yeah,
you send an image to the model, you will get a response, and then you write it to the file. So it is fast and predictable, but it's, as I mentioned, it's rigid. If you want to add certain components to it, if you want to add certain research capability or change the output format, you have to modify the code. Whereas, when we talk about the agent, it is an autonomous, right? So in this, you describe a goal, and then agent decides which tools to call in, what order, and iterates until the task is complete.
gotcha.
Does this answer your question?
Yes, absolutely. I'm just wondering if our audience had any more questions about the agent that we are going to see how to build that.
All right. Okay, so let's go to the let me run again. So now when I copy this, so what I'm doing here is that I'll ask it to download the image from this AWS documentation and simply convert it to the mermaid diagram. So let's see that what will be the output looks like. And as you see that in the terminal, it keeps asking me, to authorize it. So note, we don't tell it how to download, but we are not telling which tool to download. It's just that we need to approve the agent action, and it is deciding by itself. So let's go and see the output file here. So MCP response MD is the output file.
And I also wanted to call out that the Converse API model is actually model agnostic. So the same request format would work with Claude, Titan, Llama, Mistral, and any model that the Bedrock supports. Just wanted to call out there.
Okay. All right. So this is so as you see that from that PNG file, we are able to create this the sequence diagram, right? So let me go back. Sorry, we stopped for the question. Yeah. So this diagram, as you see that it's a sequence. So the difference between from the PNG file and in this diagram, so this diagram is editable. It's a version controllable. So unlike image, right? You cannot version do the version control on your images, but once you have this diagram, you can make those changes in this, and you will get this in the editable form. And of course, you can manage the version control as well. So this was the task 2. Now let's see that how we can customize the agent. So custom agents are the pre-configured for specific use cases. So I have created a analyze diagram agent, which you will find in the .kiro agents in your terminal. Let me go here. It will show you. So if you go here in the Kiro, you will scroll down agents, and this is the analyze diagram agent I'm talking about. Let me, it's bigger. So as you mentioned that in the prompt, we have mentioned that you are an AWS expert in AWS service and serverless architecture. Then I mentioned the AWS knowledge MCP server, and yeah, so this is the agent we have created. So let me initialize that. So I'm copying it. Yep. All right. So I'm starting this analysis. So I'll describe the key components in the diagram once it's complete. It
So
takes running.
basically, here we are adding an agent which will bring in that AWS knowledge versus just hard coding stuff to get
Yes.
to
Yes.
the LLM,
So,
right?
so yeah, it will refer to those MCP servers, right? Against those services, it will find the documentation and then provide the tools. So
Yeah.
one thing here, again, let me pause it here. So as you see that, when we create an agent, it will give you a access to the tools also, right? If you want to run it, I could have written in the terminal as well. But if you will write tools, you will see that these are the tools this agent can use. So there are certain built-in tools, and then there are the tools for the knowledge AWS knowledge MCP server. All right.
Yeah.
So now I'm going to give a prompt. I will ask that, describe the key components and service in this agent using the diagram image. Use available knowledge-based tools to research AWS services and save the analysis in the output file, which is report./CLI. So I'm running it, and then you will see that difference from the earlier report which we have created and this one. It takes a while. All right. So it's again, so that is the human loop in that agent workflow, right? That we don't want to blindly let the agent do everything, but in this case, it will keep asking, okay, do you approve this action or not? So we have a kind of a governance as well that we can say no, we don't approve it. All right. So now you will see that the output file. So you notice once you see this output file, you will notice the difference. What kind of a details it has provided. You see that compared to the first report, this report includes specific AWS service capabilities, talks about the use cases, the best practices, and all pulled from the current AWS documentation. So the agent analyze when we give this MCP server context.
Yeah, so if we have to summarize this, task one basically described what the model remembered. Task three describes what the model researched. So that's the value of giving agents to your tools. You go from training data to live knowledge. And that's what Sumit just showed us here.
Yep. So yeah, so that's right, Fatima. So from the first one, so first one is simply took the image and created the markdown report. But in this, if you will notice, there were a detailed service description, use cases, and best practices, and then there were integration patterns as well. And again, the beauty of it is that it is taking it from the live AWS documentation. Means if any changes in the AWS documentation, you will get a different output as well. All right.
Yeah. And there is
Or
a question on the chat here. Can multiple people use the same Kiro CLI custom agent?
the short answer is yes, they can. But in that case, they have to use a Git repository, right? They can create an agent and export it to Git, and from there, they can give access to their team members. So
Yeah.
does that answer or?
Yeah. And as you can see, task three is like the perfect example of why that matters, right? Because you see your analyze diagram, that one is a
Mhm.
custom agent, and that's
Yes.
also a pre-created JSON file. So it will define MCP servers to use the AWS Knowledge MCP servers.
Yeah, yeah. So you can create again. So when you create this diagrams, you can go to again this Kiro directory, right? Create a agent, set the configuration for your custom agents. You go to Git, commit the changes there, right, and share with your team. Everyone using the same configuration will have the access to the same tools and the context.
Right.
All right, so now let's move to the next one, the Strand agent. So Strand agent, you will find it's interesting. Let me play that again.
So before we go to Strand Agent, Sumit, can you tell
Mhm.
us, our audience, how is Strand Agent different from a Kiro CLI agent?
So Kiro CLI agent and the Strand agent. So see, Strand agents are something. Okay, let me take a step back. So Kiro CLI agent is something, when you want to explore something, right? When you are doing exploration, you are creating something for yourself. Whereas Strand agents is something which you can use it on the enterprise level, right? What I meant by that is that you want a code which you want run iteratively, right? And add it in your current CI/CD pipeline or the already existing workflow, right? So that's where the Strand agents comes in. Make sense?
Abs-
Or
Yeah, it totally makes sense. It's like you define strands as the sweet spot when you want agentic behavior, but you need it and embed it in your own application code.
hmm. Yes, yes. So basically, it is. How can I say that? It is good for your automated workflows, right? I mentioned CI/CD pipeline, but any scenario where you want an agent to run programmatically without a human interaction, right?
Yes.
Whereas Kiro CLI is a uh, pre-built interactive assistant, so you can chat with your terminal. It will keeps on giving you the output. But so think of a Strand agent as the building blocks for embedded agents in CI/CD pipelines, whereas Kiro CLI is a ready to use tool for interactive development work.
Thank
All right. So in this Strand agent, sorry, I missed to press it. So yeah, so we talked about Strand agent. So in Strand agents, again, so it's a framework. Strand agent framework is a Python-based code first approach for building agents. The idea is that embed agent into the CI/CD pipeline, and we have the embedded system prompt compared to the previous agent. We will ask the agent to analyze the servicing using the AWS Knowledge MCP server. So let me analyze that. Let me copy it here.
So we have one more question in the chat.
Yep.
We need to use a lot of different tools to accomplish one task. It's converting PNG diagram to mermaid. Is this true? Why not just use one tool?
It depends. So can you repeat the question? If I understood
So
correctly, we
here,
are.
we are using a lot of tools to accomplish one task, like for converting that PNG diagram to mermaid. So the question is why don't we just use one tool to get all of this done?
Yeah. So if I understand, so like let me talk in this way, right? Depending upon your needs, right? You see that people have a one tool is the uh, for I'm sorry, I need to take my step back. Like for Strand agent, we talked about how difficult it is. Now you're talking about the first module. I'm trying to see how I can go back to that. So answer is that one tool is to read file and one tool is to get the AWS knowledge around it. Another tool is to write files. So based on your needs, you can use the different tools. Does it answer, or do you want me to elaborate more?
Yeah, that's pretty good. Thank you.
So in that case, like few people have that specific requirement that we want to create a mermaid diagram, right? And some when few people have that, well, this is the architecture, right? We just need to create a markdown report because we need the context, we need the markdown report for our architectural documents, right?
Yeah.
So in the first task, if you notice that there was an image already, right? So we convert it into that. But if you want to put a version on that image, you cannot control the version of that specific file, right? That's where the task 2 came, right? Where we create the mermaid diagram out of it, right? And there you can do the version control, and it's editable as well.
Thank you.
All right. All right, so in the meantime, oh, sorry, I paused that. So let me run it again. So yeah, so we already pasted that, and for the Strand agent. So with the Strand agent, you will notice that, okay, it's still running. Let me show you the output. So yeah, so this is the analyze agent. We are just talking about the user prompt. You see that how we describe the key component services. Then again, in the line 40, we are talking about the knowledge MCP server. And then in the line 48, 49, we are telling how the agent should be running. So it should be complete by now, right? See, it keeps asking that, do you want to write, it keeps asking for my approval. I need to hit yes, and then it goes. Now let's analyze the output. So you notice that there is a similar structure as the previous output, right? Where we run the custom agent for the Kiro CLI, but it includes the key features, functional characteristics, and the common patterns. It also talks about the error handling, error handling testing strategies, and it provides a comprehensive details. So it has more details, but again, the difference comes into that it can be used in your enterprise level. All right, so let's move to the final task for this module. I know it's a lot, so that's why I want you to go. So in this task, so yes, we are not going to analyze anything. In this case, what we are going to do, we are going to generate the diagrams.
So we are
So
done
the
with analyzing. Now we are.
yes, we are done with that. So how we can develop the diagram? So the AWS diagram MCP creates a diagram using Python code. You need to check here. So if you will notice that this graph is, you need run this command and check that the graph is installed on your machine, and then the replace the diagram resources AWS icon image by running this commands. So I have already done that, but when from audience, if you are running this workshop, you need to check that, otherwise you will start getting error. So now let me start this Kiro CLI agents. So, and yes, I quit it and then I clear it just to keep it cleaned. So and as you notice that it's running, you will notice that on the step 4 it talks about the context, right? So how we will see the context, there is a, let me open it for you. So in the, yeah, sorry about this. Yeah, in the context, you create a steering file and you tell how you want your diagrams to be made, right? Where you can define the steering file. Again, in the directory.kiro, you go there and steering, you mention. Here you give the commands or give the prompts that how you want your diagrams to be created. And it has like all the colors, all the icons, and specifically you can define. Of course, you can change it as per your needs.
And
So now,
uh,
yep,
talk a little bit about the steering file as to what is it like. It's like a persistent set of instruction that gets loaded into the agent's context automatically. So it will tell the agent how to use the Python diagrams package, or like naming conventions, layout rules, icon preferences. All of that is defined in the steering file.
yep, agreed. Thanks, Fatima. All right, so now I'm just giving a command that create a cloud architecture diagram using the server API architecture with 4 main components, where I mentioned users, Amazon API gateway, Lambda, and in the data layer, which is split between the DynamoDB and Amazon S3. So it is very similar to the first architecture we saw in the task one. So I come
So,
here,
a question
give
here
this,
too.
sorry,
So just a question here, like for our essays on our call here, I can pretty much state any other service that I want for this cloud architecture diagram, right? So if tomorrow, if I have an architecture where I want to talk about, S3 and some other services, file service, or some other database services or RDS, and I would just give in all of those services, I should be able to generate an architecture diagram too.
Exactly. And this comes right, when you had a meeting with your customer, right? You have a discussion around it where you did not create any, let's say, whiteboard image or something, right? Or you just had a conversation with somebody while going for lunch, right? On in the elevator kind of a setting, right? Where
Yeah.
you talked about certain components. So you come here, go back here, use this agent, you talk that, okay, they mentioned this, they mentioned it, what kind of architecture we can come up with, right?
Yeah.
So that's where it's. All right, so I have given a command and it is running. Now let's see the. So I would like to highlight one reason. The reason I pre recorded this demo is that, as you see that all these agents running, right? So it takes time. So no, normally this workshop will take more than 1 hour, but I wanted to keep it concise so that you guys can see that what commands I'm running and what kind of output I'm getting.
Yeah.
But yes, so when you run this workshop in your own AWS accounts, it might take little longer. So don't think that with Sumit it was very fast, why it's taking longer, right? So I
Yeah.
just wanted to mention this.
Yeah, and Sumit took care of all of the underlying prerequisites and all of the setup and
Yes, yes,
configuration prior to this, but it's typically not to be run for an hour. We need more than an hour to go through this entire workshop. So, yeah, but do run it in your own account and check how it goes.
yes. All right, so let's see that what does it create. Let's go. Okay, let's hope it's running. Yeah. So I come here, and this is the server's API architecture PNG. So you see, let me, I'm just making it bigger so that you guys can see. So as you notice that, it has the users, API layer, compute layer, data layer. This is what we have provided. The important thing notice is just not only the image, you see the code also. So it created the code as well. And if you want to make certain changes, if the diagram is not as per your requirement, you can make changes here in the code, and based on the code, you will get a new diagrams. And many people, it's not that, let's say that if you are running this workshop, like let's say the two of you are running, and you both getting a different outputs. So that is the non-deterministic nature of AI agents, right? So your code will be fine. Your output may differ a little, but it is again, as I mentioned, it's a non-deterministic nature of AI. All right, so that was the end of task 5. So all right, so this is the end of module 1, in fact. So what you have now, you have experienced the progression from the basic API calls to the sophisticated agents with the knowledge integrations. In the next module, we'll apply these concepts to the real world scenarios, like transforming a whiteboard sketch into the comprehensive architecture proposal with the AWS service recommendation. I'll pause here if any questions you have, and let me take a sip of water as well. So,
Yeah, there is one question here, Sumit. Um,
yeah.
can we generate the diagram from Terraform or CloudFormation files?
Can we generate a diagram using?
Terraform or CloudFormation files?
I think with in the
Yes,
stars 5, yes, you can.
you should be
Means,
able to.
yeah. But that's a good suggestion. I haven't tried it, but in my we have to try. But again, as I mentioned, I haven't tried it yet, but
Yeah.
I think it's doable.
Yeah, with Kiro CLI and with Python diagrams custom agent, like just Sumit said, task 5,
Yeah,
give it the IAC infrastructure as a code file and ask for a diagram.
yeah. I don't know how well it work because I haven't tested it, but I
But
think it should work. Yes.
yes, it's a good test to do.
Yes, it's a good test too, yeah, and that's a good option. Yeah.
Can I run this with any LLM?
Any LLM. Yes, so it is, because we are using the Amazon Bedrock here. If that agent is sorry, that LLM is present there, yes, you can run. But as you know, that each LLM has their own fixed capabilities, or they are good for, let's say, analysis, running, creating the good diagrams, images, right? So if it is there in the Amazon Bedrock, yes, you can run it. So basically, the Strand supports. So in that Strand supports multiple model through Bedrock, right? You
Yeah.
can how you can do, you can change the model ID and use it, right? In this, we are using Claude, but if you can go, you can change the model ID and use it. For Kiro CLI, use how you can use it for Kiro CLI. You will use slash. I'm just telling the command, so you will just use slash model command to see what are available, and you can select any one of the available models. All
Yeah,
right.
but also for this one, you need vision capabilities, right?
Yes,
Especially
yes,
one. So you want
yes.
to make sure this model would support image through the Converse API, and not all Bedrock models do. So yes, so check it out.
Check. Yeah, that's a good call out, Fatima. A quick time check. We are on time, right?
Yes, it's
Yeah. Okay.
1:10. We have
All
20
right.
more minutes to go.
All right. That's good. So let's quickly jump to the module 2, which is, we started in the beginning about the whiteboarding image. Let's see. Let me make it a bigger. So in this module, I'll take an informal whiteboard sketch and transform into the multi-section architecture diagrams or documents using agent. So this is a typical scenario. Someone sketched an architecture on a whiteboard during the design session, and the goal is to convert it into the professional documentation with the AWS service recommendation. So in this image, if you will notice that uh, looks like it's a content publishing system, and you notice that diagrams are often ad hoc with varying levels of details, right? This one has a several critical elements we must identify. So as you notice that these are the three services like Shakespeare, Gutenberg, and Alexandria. So Shakespeare, we have put a context here for the editorial function where content is authored and refined. Gutenberg is for the publishing and PDF conversion, and Alexandria is the for storing the database. Then we talk about the two microservices. You notice there is a search microservices, right, which uses a NoSQL database, and there is a display microservices which uses a SQL entitlement. There are two actors here, editor and the customers, and there are the number workflows here. So as you see, there is, let me go back. Yeah, so as you notice here, the specific specific module, it is not connected to the main architecture, right? Uh, it's mentioned display service, but how? And there is no arrow going, no line connection, right? So it happens most of the, and Fatima, you can correct me if I'm wrong, that when we create these diagrams, sometime we miss certain details.
A lot of time we erroneously send the arrows the wrong way, or some arrows are missing.
Yeah,
It happens in whiteboarding sessions all the time.
that's correct. All right, so now let's see that how we can use this agent to read that specific whiteboard image and convert into the document. So let me show here is, so I'm going to run this command. So what it is going to do, it's going to run the Strand agent. So what we have done, we have created a custom tool that encodes the domain specific knowledge here. So when I say the domain specific knowledge, that means that all those three services I talked about, Shakespeare, Gutenberg, and Alexandria, it is. Let me open. I think it's in the demo. I opened it. It's asking for yes. Let me hit the yes. I'll show you the agent in a minute. Yep. So if I'll go here in the architecture and okay. So what it does, so what it does basically, I open that, I run the Strand agent and the context about all those services, right? This is the editorial service, this is a storage service. We have provided that context already, right? Because every company, every organization have their own context of certain tools, right? They have a legacy application and they can provide you the context. So you can put this specific context in your agent. So this in the basic agent. So now let's see how the output looks like. So that was the output. So it identified the core services. It talks about the microservices. These were the roles. And also it has created the mermaid sequence diagrams. And I think I'll scroll down, but if you'll review this file, you will notice that it has given the AWS recommendation. So for instance, let me stop here. So it talks about the recommendation, like for NoSQL, use Amazon Open Search Service, right? For the SQL database entitlements, use Amazon RDS. It has provided the recommendation also. So it's up to you that you want to use that recommendation or not. But it did not go into detail that why you are using it. It just provided, okay, you can use this.
Yeah, and that's a very important call out, Sumit, because most of the time when we're sitting and whiteboarding with customers, there's so many AWS services. My customers would be like, I can't, which one is the right one for me? And they would think that since they have heard a lot about one particular service, they would just
Yeah.
go with it. That necessarily might not be the right service for their use case architecture. But then if there is a diagram like this that would give you the recommendation as what AWS would recommend based off of
Yeah.
our documentation knowledge base, that is pretty handy for us.
Yep. And we are going to enhance this, Fatima. It's not that you will not stop here. We are going to, so this is just a basic thing. We just converted this image. It is, they have provided. So let's see how we can enhance it. So in the next step, let me go and show you how we can enhance that. So this is like the task 2, right? So there we are talking about the enterprise style analysis using MCP server, right? So here we are going to use those MCP servers. So what it does, instead of hard coding those services name inside the agent code, we have externalized the services catalog to the MCP server, and it uses the AWS Knowledge MCP server for the deeper research.
And this is primarily to simulate real world pattern, right? So if
Yes, yes,
organizations have their own internal service catalogs and they have their own approved technologies or their own naming conventions, then you can freely map those components to AWS services.
exactly, exactly. That's absolutely correct. And one thing I want to mention, that I added a additional context here, that add a diagrams like a C4 model into the
Yeah.
diagram. So let's see how it looks like. So let me run it now. So you see on the left hand side that it will be searching the AWS documentation. It's connecting to the AWS knowledge base, and it is searching those AWS documentation. Now let's go and see how the output looks like. Proposal MD. So you will notice that the components here identified are the same components, right, as the agent one. But if you will scroll down further, let's see. Okay. Yeah, data flow description is same, right? It is providing more context around it. Again, that's a sequence diagram. And if you will notice that in the AWS recommendation, that if you will notice, Fatima, that we mentioned no SQL database, right?
Yeah,
Recommendation is open search. Why we are doing it? Because it supports the full text search capabilities, right? You can see that it talks about the advanced query, DSL, real-time indexing, aggregations, right?
yeah,
So it gives you more context because it is directly pulling those AWS documents from the AWS Knowledge MCP server.
absolutely.
Talks
And
about the
and
scale.
even
Yeah,
if we miss out some of those minute details, this is where it put the check and says that, okay, these are the things that because of which a different service might be a better fit for your use case.
exactly, exactly. And at the bottom, as I mentioned, there is a C4 model system diagram I mentioned. So it has created, based on that, again, whiteboard image, it has created the C4 diagram. And so when you run this workshop, this specific task 2 will take longer than the task 1, because in this case, we have added the MCP server, right? It will take longer to run. So what we have analyzed, so we analyzed two agents and show a progressive evaluation. Like in the first agent, when you see the output proposal one, that was a standalone agent with a hard-coded service catalog, producing a 4-section analysis. Whereas in the second agent and in the proposal 2 output, you see there is an upgrade as compared based on your enterprise style architecture, by replacing the hard-coded catalog with the two MCP servers. And then I use C4 diagram, right? But you have an options. When we run this workshop, we created a different diagram. So you see that plant UML, it has more, I'll say that is clearer and better visibility, and that's more details also. So you can create the different types of diagrams. It does not have to be the C4 diagram. You can create plant UML and the Python based diagrams. All
um
right.
while we're going, there's another question from it says, from what I hear, Kiro CLI is just a replacement of Mermaid, does not handle CF CloudFormation or Terraform, handles raw images from Whiteboard. That's not actually
Excuse me.
true. Kiro CLI is not a replacement for Mermaid. Kiro CLI, like the general purpose AI agent CLI that can do much more than just generate diagrams.
Is that sorry? I missed the question, Fatima. That
Yeah, so the
is
question
it?
is, based on what they've heard, they think that Kiro CLI is just a replacement of Mermaid, and it does not handle CloudFormation or Terraform. It handles raw images from Whiteboard. So, but
Mm.
that's not true.
No, that's not true. Right, right, right.
Yeah.
No, that's not true.
So Kiro CLI is, it's like an agent. It can do much more than that. Your Mermaid is a text-based programming or diagramming syntax.
Yeah, Kiro CLI is again. So that's where I got confused, right? You mentioned Kiro CLI and then the mermaid. So yeah, mermaid diagram is just it's a kind of a format, right? You are using it, and Kiro CLI, excuse me, Kiro CLI is the command line interface, right?
Yeah.
That is the tool which brings the AI capabilities, right? You can have an interactive session with a interactive chat with the Kiro CLIs where you are saying, let's say that I'm facing this error, right? Let's say that when you run this workshop and you face something and you logged into the Kiro CLI and you get certain error, you can ask Kiro CLI, hey, I'm getting this error, can you fix it for me? It will fix it.
Yeah.
And it if you will see in the basic agent and the I think it was in task 2 there was an error. What happened, when we were creating that mermaid diagram, the code which got generated, it has a line break into it, right? So what we did, I asked the Kiro CLI, can you fix that? And it removed the line break,
Right.
and it was able to generate the mermaid diagram. So to summarize is like, so Kiro is an AI development assistant, whereas the mermaid is I can say that it's a diagram as code language in
Right.
the workshop. Okay,
Yeah.
hope it's clear, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So in this example that Smith is demoing, if you see that the Kiro CLI, we are focusing mostly on diagram analysis. But if you want to like analyze that Python file, chat with Kiro CLI, do with Kiro chat. If you have any errors, troubleshooting, all of that can be handled with Kiro chat. So it does far more. You don't even need to know Python. You don't need to know anything. You can pretty much chat and have Kiro figure it out for you.
Yep. And yes, absolutely, Fatima. And Curo agents actually generates mermaid code as output, right? And as they complement each other rather than replace one another.
Yeah.
All right. So let's move to the final module, architecture review. All right. Let me open. Sorry, my mouse is acting up. Yeah. All right. So in this final module, what we are going to do, we are going to work with the architecture decisions review document. So have you guys, let me ask you this. So did you guys work with architecture ADRs before?
Well, it's informally done. You can say that, people will just go and
Yeah.
talk about, okay, is this the right thing to do or not? We really didn't label it that way, but let's hear more
Okay.
about it.
All right. So in this module, right, we perform a, so if there is a architecture document exists, right, what we are going to do, we are going to review the architecture diagram and see that does it look complete? Does it have everything it's needed? Is it as complete as it should be, or we are missing something, right? So what it means is, let me run it. So in this case, what we'll do, our agent will analyze the inconsistency against the ADR. So when I talk about the ADRs, let me show you. So here, if you will notice that in the architecture diagram, this is the ADR. What ADR means is that as per certain organization, right? If there is an option of a database, instead, let's say there is a PostgreSQL and MySQL, so company has mentioned that give a priority to PostgreSQL instead of MySQL. Same goes if we go to the Aurora, that is the another ADR decisions. Let me.
Yeah, so if we have to like summarize that, think of it as some sort of structured or documents that capture why a team made specific architectural decisions,
Absolutely.
not just what you chose, but what was the context? What are the
Right.
alternatives you considered? What are the consequences? Think of it as a decision journal for your architecture.
Absolutely, Fatima. And as you notice that, in that for Aurora, there are like various options, but company's priority is that use Amazon Aurora PostgreSQL. So this ADR we have already provided in the code just to see that, when we will review the architecture, is it, we will compare that it is going as per the ADR mentioned. So let's run it. So in this case, we are going to use the architecture diagram, which we have used it in, which we have created in the previous modules. So let me quickly show you that architecture diagram, which we are going to analyze. Again, that's the same one. I don't want to spend much time. So this is key components, actors, internal service. It looks complete, right? But it is as as per the ADR or not. Let's see. So let me go here, and so we are going to review this architecture.
And sometimes if you think that ADR should be something that should be done only by humans because humans ultimately have the experience, think of this as, first pass before it even lands on the hands of the humans.
Yep.
So just making your work easier and more efficient.
All right. So let's see the output. It's running. So let's see the output. I know that we are in the last minute, so I'm trying to. So when you will review that, if okay, it's completed. Let me show you that. So in the review MD file, you will notice. So it creates the executive summary. It talks about the strength of this architecture diagram, right? What is best, and then it finds the inconsistencies, right? So if you will notice that it talks about the database technology mismatch. Let's first read that, and it has referred that you have used this MySQL or Postgre, but as per the ADR has already decided it should be on PostgreSQL, right? So if there is a inconsistency in your architecture diagram uh, in comparison with the ADR defined, then yes, it will find it out. And then yes, I'll not go in a detail, but yes, if I'm just going fast here. Hope it explains. Fatima, let me know if I need to explain anything here as well.
No, we are good.
And
We are 3 minutes.
yeah,
We have 3 minutes left. But I
yeah.
also wanted to there's another question where he's asking, how do we sign up for these workshops so we have access to the material in this video?
Yes, yes. I'm quickly going to that. So I just wanted to mention that, once it talks about the inconsistencies, it talks about the recommendations also, that how you can improve it. What
Yeah.
is this first thing you need to fix in that architecture document, and talks about, they will give the medium, high priority, low priorities. All right. So that is it for I'll say that for this specific workshop. So what the key takeaways which we have taken from this workshop is that we noticed that how agent make the autonomous decisions, not just execute predetermined logic. MCP extend the capability through the standardized protocol, and the custom context embedded domain expertise, I'll say, and progressive sophisticated agents like from standalone, MCP embedded, and the enterprise grade. And you can automate your review documents and human expertise. So that's it for that's a workshop. For the resource cleanup, you don't have to do, because everything is running in Amazon Bedrock Model Interface API. Once you close it, so no persistent resources were created, so no cleanup is done. So let me open that my slide deck. Just give me a second.
Yeah. But when you have to summarize this, can you tell me how can I include what I learned today in my actual work for our audience?
Uh, that's a very good question. So depends, like what your role is, right? So if I need to talk to Fatima, right? Fatima is asking, and I know that Fatima is a principal essay, right? And so how you can use it in your specific work. So you have various meetings with your customers, right? You need to summarizes, you need to create a content as per the discussion. With that, you need to incorporate these agent in your day-to-day workflow. And with that, once you do that, it will saves you a lot of time. So you can review those architecture. You will create various agents to review your work also, right? It will find, as you correctly mentioned, that if there is a mess in the architecture, how you can find it.
Awesome. We are at the end of the show. Thank you for joining, and we will see you in another 2 weeks with yet another episode with AWS Shables. Have a good day. Thank you, Sumit.
Thank you. Bye everyone. Thank you.